We're a year removed from Alex Burrows getting traded to the Ottawa Senators from the Vancouver Canucks in exchange for young prospect, at the time, Jonathan Dahlen, and I wanted to revisit this. I didn't make a video about this last year because this was during my big, long 4-month hiatus from YouTube because I was dealing with real-life stuff instead of internet stuff, but Jonathan Dahlen is a player who's really giving us reasons to talk about him, even as we speak today. His playoffs just concluded over there in Sweden, playing for the Timrå in the Allsvenskan, and because this wasn't necessarily a playoffs and more, this was the qualifications for the Timrå in the Allsvenskan, Timrå is now an SHL team once again. They got promoted from the Allsvenskan after a few years of being relegated down from the SHL. And that's just the way that things work over there. They do have teams that move up and down depending on how good or bad they are in their respective leagues. So if you got one of the Allsvenskan teams doing very well, they'll be promoted up to the SHL if they can win the qualifiers. And if an SHL team has been playing poorly for the past few years, and they lose in these relegation games, they'll be demoted down to the Allsvenskan. It's kind of like a Tier 1, Tier 2 kind of system they got over there. And Jonathan Dahlen has helped carry this team that housed him in his developing career, and Elias Pettersson's developing career as well, back into the SHL. And it came in a game where they won 2-0, and they completed a 3-1 series comeback. That is 3 wins in a row to win 4-3 in a Game 7, which they won 2-0. Jonathan Dahlen got himself a goal in this one. It was off of the defender's helmet. And it's been a long time since I've actually talked about Dahlen, so let's make a little bit of a discussion point here. Revisiting the Burrows trade 1 year later, it's stacked. I'm sorry, it's been a year, it's been that time where you can kind of look back on things that we've done in the past and try to reflect on what we've done. This trade was an absolute blowout for the Canucks. And I'm sorry, I love Alex Burrows, and I understand the value that Alex Burrows provided for the Ottawa Senators going into the playoffs last year. Heck, 2 overtimes in a Game 7 against the Penguins, 1 more goal, they would have gone to the finals against Nashville. But still, Alex Burrows is a player who he's on the tail end of his career, and once he is retired, this is literally the definition that we have for the trade today, Jonathan Dahlen coming over to Vancouver in exchange for nothing. And virtually a lot of Ottawa Senators fans are kind of pissed off, seeing as Dahlen is developing into a player who could definitely have top 6 potential, and it's incredible just how he's been able to progress through these years, even on a Timrå team that did not have Elias Pettersson, as Elias Pettersson went up to the SHL, went over to the Vancouver Lakers, had an absolutely historic season, and meanwhile Jonathan Dahlen still remains as a top 5 player in the Allsvenskan. And this year, he was actually second in points, but he was first in points per game. He was a point-per-game player. The guy who finished ahead of him in points, he had like 7 games played more, and he had 6 more points, something like that. I'm not too sure, but I kind of wanted to talk a little bit about Dahlen and his playing, because he was a player who a lot of people thought that he would go over to the SHL or the Utica Comets. It would be one of the two. But instead of going over to an SHL team, accepting any of these offers that people gave to him, saying, hey, come to our SHL team, you're pretty good, we want you on our team, he said no. He said, no, I'm staying with the Allsvenskan Timrå. I want to lead these guys back into the SHL. And that's what he did. He expressed his loyalty to the Timrå from day one, saying, nuh-uh, I'm not moving up. I'm staying with this team till the end. If I'm ever going to play in the SHL, it's going to be because I carried this team back up into it. And that is exactly what he did, despite not having Elias Pettersson. And despite facing a 3-1 deficit in the qualifying series, they still won. They still won. And it was on the back of Jonathan Dahlen and all the other fantastic supporting staff over there they got in Timrå. Dahlen, though, fantastic edge work. His playing is incredible. There are so many highlight packages on YouTube to watch of Jonathan Dahlen and his play. You guys need to watch this, because just watching his skating, this guy might be able to challenge Virtanen and Leipzig for fastest skater. And that's not an exaggeration. This is one of the things that I can watch, and looking at his games, it's so easily identifiable to say, oh my goodness, this guy's the real deal. He is absolutely the real deal. His shot, okay, fantastic. His vision on the ice, you look at some of his assist work, a lot of these passes you just don't even think about seeing, and he sees it and he passes it over and ends in a goal. His assists are very great. And his play along the boards is strong as well. His edge work while skating, fast, lateral movement, it's all there. And the speed is insurmountably fast. He's like a fireball out there on the ice. Skating through, getting through defenders, finding space, stealing the puck. He is a force out there. And best of all, he seems to be a guy who exhibits the best loyalties to players, to teams. He refused to move up because he wanted to stay with his Timrå team. And on top of that, he looks like he's going to be a playoff performer. We've seen so many of these guys coming into our system. Bo Horvat, after winning that Wayne Gretzky Award in the OHL for the best playoff performer, he dominated the playoffs against Calgary in 2015. Granted, we didn't win that series, but Bo Horvat was definitely the best player on the Canucks. You got Adam Gaudette getting a hat trick in these Beanpot games to win the Beanpot, to win the Hobey Baker, and you got Jonathan Dahlen coming in clutch, leading his team back to 3 straight victories and getting a goal in the Game 7 in a 2-0 shutout. We got player performers on our team. And it's crazy to think that this 20-year-old prospect, Jonathan Dahlen, who is playing for the Timrå and who will come over to training camp this summer, this player who grabbed himself a whopping 44 points in 44 games, literally the same production that he did last year, without Elias Pettersson this time. We got this guy, a playoff performer, a fireball on the ice, hard on the pucks, great down low, great on the boards, great going laterally and forwards. We got this guy for an aging Alex Burrows. That's freaking amazing, man. Jim Benning absolutely sniped it with this goal over here. He absolutely just roofed it. Top shelf, and nobody is ever going to look back. Because the Ottawa Senators, I understand that Burrows did provide a good presence for them, but my goodness, a lot of them are pissed off that they don't have Jonathan Dahlen anymore. And it's great, because this was totally Benning's plan in the first place. Everybody kind of saw this coming, because Jonathan Dahlen, we get the trade for him, and then we draft his buddy, Elias Pettersson, on the same team. This was great. And you know what else was great? Let's talk a little bit about Elias Pettersson getting himself a goal in the playoff game for the Vancouver Lakers earlier, yesterday, I believe. And upon receiving these interview requests, the first thing that he asked was, how did Timrå do? How did Timrå play in their last Game 7? And then the reporters told him, yeah, they won 2-0. They're now in the SHL. And Elias Pettersson started crying and everything on the interview. He was so happy because his loyalty to this team never died as well. He proclaimed about how they molded him into the player that he is today and how they helped him so much. And his buddy, Jonathan Dahlen, was able to carry them back. And that is a story that we will be developing on, not next season anymore, because, well, both of these guys will probably go over to North America in some form or another. But Timrå fans everywhere, they're so happy about this, and understandably so. They've been in the Allsvenskan for a few years now. They are now back in the SHL. It took 5 years, I believe, for them to claw their way back into the highest league of professional hockey in Sweden. And it was all thanks to Jonathan Dahlen. He is now a legend amongst Timrå IK fans. And now, the next step for him, this 20-year-old kid, is to come over to North America in the offseason. He actually will probably be playing for the Comets in the playoffs a little bit later. So maybe a few weeks down the line, Jonathan Dahlen is an all-star Utica Comet. Because he's at that stage where the next step, it's the Comets playoff run, man. And looking at the comments, oh my goodness, this would just be amazing. Jonathan Dahlen, Lukas Jasek, then you got guys like Brendan Leipzig, Goldolbin, Archibald, Tyler Mott, Cole Lind is there too. Oh my goodness, the comments are going to be so intriguing to watch, and I can't wait. I absolutely cannot wait. Oh man, I want to watch all of this AHL playoff hockey. My goodness. My goodness. This is beautiful, guys. Hope you guys enjoyed this video tour of Plus into National Shows like National Wrestling and Gaming, and bye.